Just looks expensive.
All right, we are away. Morena koutou. It appears that we do not have any public in the room, so housekeeping we are all aware of as council. And so let's open with a karakia. I think I'll say the karakia this morning, just to get us moving. Nā reira, karakia tātou. E taunei ki rongi a tātou katoa, te wairoa ngā mātua tūpuna, nā rātou I hakatakoto te ara, hei hi koe mā tātou ngā uri, I hakato ki o tātou ngā kau ki ngā tikanga, hei ara taki ngā I a tātou ki te hāpai wā tātou mahi katoa, I roto I te pono o te tika, te maramatanga me te aroha anō. Hara mai te toki, haumi e hui e, hai e, kia ora koutou. Now, I believe that we are all in attendance. We don't have any apologies for today. Peter Lucas and Councillor Joe Carr are online with us.
Good morning.
Morena.
Tēnā tātou I tēnei ata.
Nā koe. So we'll move over to declarations of conflicts of interest. And if there are none at this moment, there will still be opportunities through the agenda if you wish to raise conflict.
Chair, at this point, could we ask to address the supplementary item and the two confidential tabled items and just have a move and a second to receive those?
Yep, I'll move, guys.
Rick moving, Amy seconding. All in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against, that's carried. Sorry about the lag online. So the supplementary plan that's going to be in.
So yeah, just supplementary 6.4, which is the provisional financial year end result.
There we go.
And the two confidential tabled items, which are 10.4. And just to note, 10.5, a revised version was sent out last night as per the CEO's email. So.
Okay. Thank you. Moving on to item 5.1, confirmation of minutes. So we have a mover.
Yep.
Rick, thank you. Seconded by John. Thank you. Any discussion? It's good to see the adoption of the proposed regional plan and that's moving forward.
Really good.
Is there an update on that later on, or do we know where the minister is?
No, Chair, I understand the minister has been sent a copy of the regional plan for approval of the regional coastal plan component of it.
Okay. All right, well, if there's no further comments, we can move that through. Sorry, I just have to jump around a bit. Right, if there's no other discussion, then we will go through with the recommendation that the minutes be received. All in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against, that's carried. Thank you very much. I don't actually see the action plan on here.
No, there was no actual current action, so you're quite astute. Yeah.
Okay, no action plan to look at. Let's move on to 6.1.
Happy to move.
Jack is moving and Rick is.
Moving all 7.
Are we comfortable with moving them all together?
I am.
One by one.
E pai ana kia hau, māku te motini e tautoko. Kia ora.
Ka pai. All right. Any discussion?
Let's do it.
Sounds like it's all fairly straightforward at this point as it's presented. Councillors have already had a chance to go through it. We have our supporting materials. If there's no further discussion, then we'll move to motion.
Nothing.
All right. Just gonna skip back. So for the 7 recommendations, all in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against, that's carried. Thank you. 6.2, request for approval to carry forward operational budget. Do we have a mover? Marty? Who would like to second that? Jack, thank you. 2 recommendations together. Sorry, I should have clarified that first. Yep. Thank you. Any discussion? Again, you know, we've worked, thankfully, we've had the staff support to, you know, go through this. If there's no discussion, then we'll move forward with the motion. Recommendations 1 and 2. All in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against, that's carried. Moving on to the request for approval 6.3 to carry forward capital
Happy.
expenditure. Rick is happy to move. We have a seconder, Amy, thank you.
For 2.
For the 2 recommendations, sorry. That the report be received and that we approve the budget proposed. If there's no questions or Toko, thank you, Councillor Peter Lucas. So if there's no questions or comments, then we'll move the motion forward. All
Madam
in
Chair,
favour? Yes.
I'd just like to comment, I think this is quite notable in that the figure is quite low considering the extreme amount of disruption that staff and programs have had in the last 12 months due to COVID and the weather events. So I'd like to congratulate staff on actually getting the result that they have been able to get. For those of us that monitor programs month by month, it's actually pretty impressive. So I'd just like to thank staff for the result.
Total call. Yes, I'm sure we all total for that. Okay, so moving forward on the 2 recommendations, all in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against, that is carried. Great. 6.4, provisional financial year end results.
And Chair, this is where we move to the supplementary item.
Thank you. Do you all have the supplementary item in front of you? We'll give you a moment. Can we give Marty a hand to get access?
Sorry, I do have.
Yeah.
Yes, sorry. Oh, yeah. Yes. Just getting confused.
Yes, some of you might have the updated agenda. I do.
Yep.
Yeah. So we're on page 58 if you have the updated agenda. And there are the, sorry, 7, there are 7. 58 on my
58.
paper. Yeah, cut by.
7 still.
7 recommendations. Yes.
I'm happy to move those.
All 7 together.
Yep.
So
I'll
for now,
second that.
all 7 together. Rick is moving and Jack is seconding. Do we have any discussions? Any questions? Well, if there are no questions, then we'll move forward on the motion. All in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against? That's carried. Thank you. Great. Special reserves. That is right, isn't it? Yes, 6.5. Special reserves, recommendation that the report be received. Who would like to move that?
I'll move it.
Rick is moving that.
Move the money.
Ai,
Yes,
maki
second.
te rā mō tini e tautoko.
Up by Peter Lucas. If there's any questions or clarifications required. If not, then we will move forward with the motion. All in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against? That's carried. Thank you. 6.6 regional rates collection.
just two things, Tui.
Yes.
Chair, can you just give us the page number as we go through?
Yeah.
And we're getting a lot of feedback on the microphone. We can hear you through the microphone.
So I don't have mine on because I am bilingual, but sometimes like you can have off button, and so just turn it on maybe when there's te reo and then turn it off.
That's fixed.
Oh, it's fixed. Thank you, whoever did that. Yeah, all right.
So I will move.
Okay, so we have the recommendation to receive the regional rates collection paper moved by councillor Rick. Do we have a seconder?
Yeah.
Well, okay, Amy, thank you, thank you.
Come on.
Any discussion? If there's not, then we'll go forward with the motion. All in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against? That's carried.
Brilliant.
Kia ora, Chair. Can I just, before I see our finance manager about to slip out the back door, can I just take the opportunity just to acknowledge the finance team and our independent advisors and Bruce for all the mucky that's gone into the papers that we've just gone through relatively quickly here. But it's a huge amount of work to pull all of this together, and just want to acknowledge their effort and expertise in guiding us through that process.
Yes, yes, definitely. Thank you. There's a reason why it went through smoothly.
Apart from that, that's. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Yeah, tautoko.
Big milestone for us today. Awesome. I would also like to acknowledge our manuhiri that have arrived as well. And so I should probably circle back to housekeeping. Just, yeah, ngā mihi kia koutou I tēnei ata. No mai haere mai. Ko karakia ki tātou, e rangi, ko te mea nui me mihi atu kia koutou me councillor Pira hoki. Tēnā koutou. Just for housekeeping purposes, if a fire alarm goes off, we can exit through the stairwell and then gather outside in the visitor car park. If there's an earthquake, please drop, cover and hold. And I can see that you have your yellow lanyards, guards, so you have already signed in at reception. Please keep those on and remember to drop those off as you exit the building. And the toilets are also through the glass doors there, male and female as well, that you can utilise. And please adhere to our covert alert guidance. I'm sure you know the appropriate behaviours. And now we are up to, we actually gone quite quickly through our agenda. So, and there are agenda copies at the door if you need one. We are now at item 7.
Yep.
7.1 into electoral decisions. So this is about,
Page 81.
are you all right? Page, sorry, I have to minimise my thing a bit.
81.
81, got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll move all three recommendations, Chair.
Thank you, Joe. Do we have a
Ka
seconder?
tautoko a hau I te mōtini kua tukua e Joe. Kia ora
Tēnā
tātou.
koutou. Well, I understand that this is a fairly straightforward discussion as well in the workshop that was held. So if there's no further questions or comments, then we will go ahead and put the motion forward.
I may make a comment first.
Go for it, Marty.
Just a bit of feedback from the community, I suppose. Disappointed that we didn't address the STV with more scrutiny, rather than just glossing over it and passing it straight in favour of first past the post.
Were there any particular points that you wanted to put on the record? Or was it that some more time could have been spent on it?
Yeah, thank you.
All right, noted. Thank you, Marty. If there's no further comments, we'll go ahead with the motion. Recommendations 1 to 3 on electoral decisions. All in favour say aye.
Aye.
Right.
Against? Thank you, Joe. That's carried. Moving through to 7.2, alternate co-chair for Te Tai Tokiro Māori and Council Working Party. Marty, would you like to move that?
Yes, please. Thank you.
And Amy is seconding. The two recommendations there, that the report be received and that Georgina Curtis Connolly be appointed as the alternate iwi and hapu co-chair. Te tipini. Ka pai, that's fairly straightforward, administrative. We'll go ahead and move the motion forward. All in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against, that's carried. Particular thanks to the TMAC for that. Marty?
Yeah, Georgina's already stood in a couple of times,
Yes.
or sat in a couple
Yeah.
of times. So.
Yeah, it's a really nice balance having, you know, someone there from the West Coast as well.
Which brings me to the point, I should have someone sit in for me in November because I'm going to be at my daughter's wedding.
I believe, Rick, are you cheering for Marty?
I am.
Yeah.
Well, she's asked me and I've accepted.
Ka pai. All right.
Team's
so
happy
You
with
better
forward.
make sure the wedding happens, mate.
Yeah.
Congratulations on the wedding as well. Okay, moving on to 7.3, Joint Future Development Strategy Working Group. This is our work with Whangarei District Council.
No.
Can,
I'll move that the report be received, Chair.
thank you, Joe.
Can we do all seven?
Yes, would you be willing to move all 7 recommendations together?
Yeah, I just thought we should have some discussion whether Councillor Crawford would be a suitable person for this as well.
Thanks, Joe. Let's get it moved and seconded and then open it for discussion. So
Yep.
Joe is moving all 7?
No, I moved that the report be received.
Sorry, one at a time.
No, the report be received and then have discussion.
Okay, so that's
E
recommendation
tai
1.
soko
That
ana hau kia whakawhiwhia tātou ki te ripoko.
Yes, yeah.
all
It's
right. Moved by Joe, recommendation 1, and seconded by Councillor Peter Lucas. Can we have some clarification from the staff? Have we nominated our members who are?
I'm happy to speak to it.
Good.
That's
Yeah,
right.
so we did workshop this.
Yeah.
It was a while ago though, so it has been quite a big delay. And my understanding at the time was that it was myself and Councillor Stolworth, because the areas that we represent are 2 of the areas in Whangarei District that are tagged for growth. So I think that was the rationale, which I was comfortable with.
So Chair, could we haven't got an alternate here, so could we have Jeff as the, we could work an alternate, couldn't we? Who's it going to?
Do we have, who's staff on this, Kaupapa? Thank you, Ruben.
Good, Chair. Yes, an alternate would be fine.
Jeff, do you have any appetite to be on this committee?
Yep.
Working party?
Yep.
Okay, great.
It's an outcome committee, is it? Definitely.
What do you say, Jono?
So do you want me to move that? I move the change to 3.
I just make a comment. I know Amy said that it related to your electorates, but I just thought Jeff's sort of business involvement, that he would make a really great contribution, and yeah, so that was reason for my comment.
I think no one's in opposition to that here. I think Jeff brings also rural outlook too, perhaps, in the primary sector.
I'd just like to say I am quite a large commercial property owner in Whangarei.
Oh, that too. So you're also, yes. Marty?
Yeah, once that conversation's finished, this urban development is not all about Whangarei, because what happens in Whangarei also involves the whole of the region. I understand that there's building projects emanating from Whangarei that actually affect the Hokianga. So the request was brought up into TMAC that there be more involvement from wider out rather than just Whangarei centric, because it's urban planning, it's not just Whangarei planning. So on that note, I would like more inclusiveness of, for instance, there were 2 nominations from Te TMAC for outside the Whangarei urban area, one in the Hokianga, and in fact 2 up north. So I would really like that brought to the table rather than just making it Whangarei centric. It's urban development.
Can we get some guidance from our staff on how whāngarei centric this is?
Kia Chair. It is whāngarei centric in that it is an urban development study for whāngarei, although I do completely accept the viewpoints that what affects whāngarei can be caused by activities outside of whāngarei and vice versa. The advice that I have is to enable that conversation to be held by the working group, noting that there's been 4 nominations put forward by TTMAC. Staff have recommended 2. The 2 that we've recommended are those TTMAC representatives with representation within the more urban confines of whāngarei. But we've also recommended going back to TTMAC, advising the working party of that outcome and providing an opportunity to reconsider the nominations in order to ensure that they're achieving the level of representation that they had sought through nominating 4 individuals. The challenge that we have is that we've got 2 councils trying to build this working party all at the same time, and it's quite clunky, to be honest. So we're just having to do the best we can through the steps that we have. And so what we've sought through our recommendations is to enable an opportunity for TTMAC to revisit the nominations in light of the issues that they raised and that you've raised, Councillor Robertson.
Yeah, thank you. In which case, should we actually take it back before endorsing the nominations of Mira Norris and Rebecca Reid, take it back to TTMAC for
Confirmation.
their input before nailing that in?
Have Mira Norris and Rebecca Reid not been put forward by the TMAC?
They've been put forward with 2 others as well. I think it was Nice Porter, and I've forgotten who the other one was. Would you remember? Well, 2 others anyhow. John, I may have.
Jono.
Kia ora, Chair. I recall from TTMAC, and correct me if I get this wrong, Ruben or Oriel, that when TTMAC nominated 4 representatives, we also referenced what the terms of reference we're actually seeking, and they provided us direction on who were to be the 2 priority, like if we got to this situation, who were to be the 2 priority ones and who were, if we're going to go 4, who were the other 2. Just double checking with staff, the 2 that have been recommended here were the 2 that were identified as the priority 2 from TTMAC. Okay, cool. So I think then, Councillor, there's the opportunity, and we've got it clearly in here. We're doing what they've said. Here are the 2 priority, the 2. If it's only 2, these are the 2. But then staff are also recommending to go back to TTMAC to highlight the fact that there is no one else from the broader region, and they may therefore then choose to change those 2, given that. But do you know when the working party is due to commence with WDC?
The timeline hasn't been set, but we're hoping within the next month or so.
I'm just conscious that you don't miss the opportunity of having TTMAC members on there if the process starts, with the opportunity to review that as time goes on.
Yep. My recollection was you're right that Mira and Rebecca were the first 2 names brought up, and then the lights went on, which changed the whole conversation, because the lights went on that what is happening here affects the region, what happens in the region affects here. So it was a wider thing about, although it focused on whāngarei, it's about urban development in Northland. So that changed it. But so I would like to put in included here that there were 2 from the Marion Council Working Party, but that it may be that one might be changed. In which case, why put the names up now rather than say there are 2 spaces there for TTMAC members, and then TTMAC come back to affirm now that they know that there are only 2, not 4.
Are you making text amendment proposal for an amendment on one of the motions?
I'm saying other than item 4, recommendation 4, that the names not be included in that one until it comes back as an affirmation or confirmation from TTMAC. So that there be 2 nominations to be made from the TTMAC.
So you're asking for essentially for recommendation 4 to be struck?
No, not to be struck. Of the Northern Regional Council endorse the nominations of 2 members from the Marion Council Working Party to serve on the future development strategy working party.
Oh, how does that work? And previously, we've always named the people in our recommendations. Let's think on this. Peter Lucas, did you have your hand up? Aroha mai.
Hoi anō, kei ware tātou ki ngā haukainga i tua whenua. He pai kia hau te rongo i te ingoa o NICE, nā te mea ko NICE tētahi e mātau ana ki ngā take nui kei mua i ngā haukainga. Ko e tū ana tēnei kaupapa hei titiro ki ngā mahi whakatū pare i whāngarei, ka haere mai te wā. E tika ana kia whai wāhi ngā haukainga me o rātau māngai. Nā reira, i nā e whakaaro ana tātou ki etahi atu ingoa ka tautoko ahau i a NICE. Nā te mea, ko ia tētahi no whangaroa. Ko whangaroa, ko te hiku, ko hokianga i etahi o ngā wāhi, e kaha ana tātou te kaunihera te wareware.
Tēnā koe, Peter Lucas. E mohe ana hauruki kei roto te ruma NICE hoki, kei runga i te teams hoki nā reira tēnā tātou katoa. For me, I'd like us to be clear on the process. We've ended up talking about all the recommendations, even though we've only, Joe just wanted to move the first. But let's try and deal with this. So what we've been presented by our staff is 2 named people that were elected by TMAC, and we still have 2 NICE and and Laura. Oriel, would you like to give us some more guidance on this? Like, do we have support? What is the TMAC thinking in terms of the 2 additional names? Have they already been nominated as well, and our staff are only putting up 2?
I think it's covered actually that that staff have to go back and report the council decision as part of the recommendations. The other point, and just supporting, is that we also know that if we don't confirm the names today, that the opportunity for us to have this discussion with TTMAC to confirm any other, to confirm 2 people to be prepared for the meetings that will happen for this working group. We won't be able to do that formally until October. Yeah, so I think it's more the consciousness of, if we want to ensure TTMAC right now has 2 members ready and booked in their calendars to attend. That's important. I think the main point that TTMAC was making, it needed the working group that now has been established needs to understand the point for iwi and Hapu, that they don't see that there's a district here. They see it as a regional tautokoro discussion that's important. They're involved in around the planning.
Kapai.
Can I suggest then that the 2 be named there, but there would be an additional subclause that Nora Ramaka and NICE Porter be the stand-ins should they not be there, because then there is room to juggle it, so that one of the family members may not be there, in which case the replacement can be made.
Rebound, what do you think of that proposal?
Kia ora, Chair. Yes, I believe that would work in a similar way that we've identified stand-ins for the council representatives.
Yes.
Yeah, and I'll just point out too that although this relates to the governance of the strategy, there is a whole nother kaupapa around engagement and input through that channel as well. So this is about the governance decision making, but there will be a whole bunch of work done to receive feedback across those parties who have an interest in this.
Thank you for that reminder, Reuben. So was Marty's new proposal to have the 2 additional nominees added to our recommendations? Do you think that will be acceptable to our TMAC?
Absolutely, and I'm sorry, just to clarify, it was it was Pita Tipene and it was Nice Manual that were put forward.
Okay.
It was Pita.
Pita
I don't know,
and
just check.
Nice.
And I definitely think they'll understand.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. While councillors are thinking on that, I think we just need to clean this up procedurally and yeah.
So we've currently got a mover and a second that the report be received. Let's put
Yep.
that to the motion and then we can
Do the others. Yeah. Okay, for receiving the report, let's be clear, we're just doing recommendation 1. That was moved by Joe, seconded by Peter.
And Chair, I'd extend that out to recommendation 2 as well. So 1 and 2, so we can get stuck in. Yeah.
Okay, and then we'll see if we can do 3 to 7 at the next one. So what recommendations 1 and 2, moved by Joe and Peter Lucas. All in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against? Aye, that's carried, thank you. So that's 1 and 2 done. Now 3 to 7. Do I have a mover for 3
I
to
don't think
7?
we can move it.
No, I don't want to move it. I want to do an amendment to put in Jeff in there.
Can we move them first and get seconders and then, oh, sorry, which one are you?
Well, we just want to put in Jeff as an alternate under 3, so the councillor McDonald style alternate. Crawford.
Yeah.
Councillor Crawford.
If a member wishes to move them all and recommend amendments, I'll be happy to help with the text for the amendment, Chair.
Can I won't move it though, because I'm in it.
You're on it.
John.
Yeah, I'm happy to move.
John and Jack to move 3 to 7, and then we'll make the required amendments. So the first would be to 3 to add in Councillor Jeff as alternate, and recommendation 4 to add in. If this is going to be tidy, Chris.
Yep, no,
To add in
it's fine. Alternates, Pita Tipene and Nice.
and nice porter.
Kia ora.
Okay.
Happy to second.
Oh, all right. Do you want any further discussion? We've sort of covered it already. If we're feeling like we can put the motion forward, all in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against, that's carried. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Rick.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amy. Congratulations.
Thank you.
No, you want to work with me, Rick?
Totally.
Just have a shake
Great.
first.
I think the room's that far. That's good distance. Yeah, keep it there.
Okay, moving on to 7.4. Freshwater farm plans.
Happy to move all 3 recommendations.
Thank you, Jack.
There are 3, there's 1 below the chart as well.
Yes, that's a bit. And Amy would like to second? Okay. Discussion. Let's open this for discussion. So really, this is about the staff are recommending,
Stagger the rollout.
yeah, the rollout, the
Yeah.
phase
Phase
rollout.
rollout.
That's it. That's it for now.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
Can it all come out at once and be a bit of a bullseye? Let's just do it slowly. Correct.
And we've got,
Yeah, pretty
more
simple.
around this. So
So
we
just recommend, go with the staff recommendations. I've read it all. I all agree. It's great. Let's do this quietly and slowly, 1 step at a time. Good recommendation.
Any other comments or questions?
Got one.
Yes, John?
So you got that chart with the rollouts happening with the different areas,
Mhm.
and Northern Wairua, Potu is first, which is my region, which is the biggest one, I believe. Is that date pretty firm? We're not going to push that back, are we?
Ruben?
Kia ora, Chair. So from here, once the resolution is made, if these are adopted, then we issue that to Ministry for the Environment, at which point what is effectively in this table will be issued through an order in council and become part of the regulations. So the quick answer is no, it won't change once the resolution is made.
Can I just talk to Ruben about just the rollout?
You can talk through me,
Oh, yes, sorry,
Yeah.
Chair. May I ask Ruben a question?
ask a question and I'll give him the nod, I guess. Go for it. What is your question, Jeff? Yeah, you got to come through me.
Okay, the KMR is one of the FMUs. Would that go out as one unit, or are we just going to have the Potu and Northern Wairua separated into different FMUs?
Oh, yeah. And do you have a follow-up question to that as well in relation?
Well, I'll let Ruben answer it, then I probably don't.
Okay, Ruben.
Kia ora, Chair. It's an issue with effectively naming conventions that we've got there. So the Northern Wairoa is effectively the KMR catchment, and Poto is that bit on the end that doesn't quite drain into the KMR catchment. So it's effectively KMR and Poto.
John,
KMR also includes Auckland.
even if it does, it doesn't include us if it's Auckland. Yeah.
Correct.
So for us, it's only within our own boundaries.
Yeah.
Through the chair, can you just one more verification? So I suppose it's communication, really. My neighbours who live in Wananaki wouldn't be aware that they're a part of the KMR, and still don't, people I talk to. So, you know, I think the boundary is virtually within half a K of my farm that looks over Wananaki South, and we're in the KMR. So that's how far the fingers go. I would like to see a communication rollout around that. On, you know, on the responsibilities that you are part of this KMR catchment through the KMR, and these are going to be timelines.
That's a good point. So our staff hear that, Jono, Ruben, we really need to be strong around our comms for freshwater, try and get our communities engaged as much as possible. Any further questions or comments? Everybody okay? So this is 7.4. We're going to go ahead then and go forward with the motions, recommendations 1 to 3. All in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against, carried. Thank you, Joe. Next, Chair's report 8.1, page
108.
108. I'm scrolling. Again, all straightforward. I've been going through the standing orders, and this is like the Chair's report is an opportunity actually to direct people to certain parts of the agenda, but I'm not going to choose to do that today. So I will move that this is received. Thank you, Rick, for seconding. If there's no questions, then we'll go ahead with it. All in favour say aye. Against. That's carried. Thank you.
Parei te mea he
8.2.
pātai, engari he mihi. Parei te mea he pātai, engari he mihi tēnei ki a koe tui, e kawe nei I ngā mahi nunui, e mahi ana e koe, hei hāpai I te kaunihera, hei whakawhanau atu ki ngā wāhanga katoa o te taitokera. Harako ngā Pākehā ana he, engari me ngā Māori hoki.
Tēnā koe, Peter Lucas. Hanui te mihi kia koe hiki e wa. So moving on to 8.2, the CE's report. Do we have a mover to receive the report, please? Rick, seconder.
Yeah.
Amy. Who would like to go first? Rick?
Right. Well, I've got a few, but I'll just do one at the moment. Really like the freshwater reports. Thanks, John. Really like the one on, had a good read of the freshwater fish on in the forest in Mount Tiger. That was awesome. That was great. And the invertebrate stuff. It's in that NIWA report. Well, I got confused at the end. There were so many charts there, but I do love it. And I think it's great that we can get access to all those because really interested in them. And I'm very keen on, I'm receiving all those reports, which brings me to the air quality one on University of Canterbury. So when that comes up, I'm very keen to, I'm sure there'll be a link in there, but it's great to know that we're working with those different organisations as well. So thanks for that. They're great reading. If you haven't read them, I certainly recommend you have a crack at them. So thank you.
Agree. Hope that those reports are going to be pushed out again to the public as well. They're really, well, I think they're interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess that's why we're here. Jack, would you like to go next?
Thank you, Chair. Page 115, Ahipara Municipal Wastewater Treatment Plant. This seems to be somewhat of a festering sore. Colin's not here, but John, have you got can you give us any indication of what is happening at the moment? We keep getting update pending, but
I don't have a specific update for you, Councillor. I'll have to go away and get an update from the group manager as to where that's at.
It seems to be somewhat of a very little progress, if any, being made. And I know that we did send a really good letter of expectations to all the district councils, didn't we, about 6 months ago, and that's kind of top of the list. I'm just wondering if it's time we had open up another dialogue with FNDC about this, because we can't, as the regulator, we can't let this keep going on and on and on. It's just, you know.
I know FNDC had budget in their plan to address the non-compliance, whether the capital works have been undertaken or not to address the non-compliance or not, I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'll go away and find out and report back to council.
Thank you.
Is this, John, is yours on the same topic? Is yours on the same topic? Marty?
Same topic down the page. So Kaiko expired 2021. 2021. There's one for 2022. Kaio and Kaiwaka both 2022. Can we have some explanation, or sort of a public explanation, because this is another thing that brought to me attention by a member of the public, was how are these allowed to be able to draw out so long? Why isn't it, because there's such a long consent, that the consent application is made early enough where it can be a rollover and not exposed as sort of smack of consent?
I believe that the Hokianga consent has now been changed down to 3 years, right? So there is some community discussions with council and we can see some movement in some spaces. Is there a reason why Colin Dahl is not in the room?
He's on annual leave at the
Oh,
moment,
that's
Chair.
right. Okay, that's fine.
Could
We
I
could
make
also
a comment?
Yeah, you go first, Joe.
Yeah, just while on that related subject, there in the Hokianga, you've got 4 schemes that need consent at the moment. You've got the Koko, the open, 3, open only, and the Kaikoai one. And to be able to assess the effects, you can't split them up. They should all go up together. So the cumulated effects of these sewage schemes are properly evaluated. And that's a requirement of RMA management. And it's unacceptable for them to be put up separately. In the 3-year proposal that's coming forward, the objective is to allow the Far North District Council to be able to do that for them all together, so they can really sort out the effluent in the Hokianga. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Jono.
Kia ora, Chair. You referenced earlier that we've started the process of sending formal letters to the CEs of each of the district councils. I've previously circulated that to all councillors as well. I'll follow up with Tess, who's acting group manager at the moment. I suspect our 6 months is up for our follow-up letter, and we'll do that and circulate that to councillors. And then if there's any further questions from that, happy to have a specific discussion about it, or specific discussion on the formal council agenda as well if need be. But we have put in that in place as a means of ensuring that we maintain progress, that we don't have long lags in consenting processes and compliance matters. And I think as a regulator, it's upon ourselves to make sure that that's what we're doing. So I'll follow up on that, and we'll be issuing another letter, and we'll circulate that to governance as well.
Yeah, can I have some assurance that the 3 outstanding schemes, the resource consents are processed together in a package, please? They did 2 last time. Did open only and Koko, but they neglected to put in Kaikoai, which is the most substantial discharge into the Hokianga.
I believe they're still working through options for land disposal at Kaikohe and purchasing property there. But in terms of legalities, as the regulator, do we have the ability to compel them to lodge these collectively? I'm not sure that we do.
Kia ora, Chair, that level of expertise is beyond me here on the spot, but I've got the action and the question, and we'll come back to council with a response.
Okay.
Thank you.
Everybody okay with
Yeah.
the responses on that? Yeah, let's do what we can to
Thank
support.
you.
Ka pai, I'll keep talking to Mayor Moko and others about if there's anything we can do to support them. Okay, yes, any other next?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. I'd just like to comment favourably on the Environment Fund results for the last year. Over 61 kilometres of fencing. That's a pretty notable achievement in the times that we live in at the moment, with how things are, how things are happening down on the farm. So I'd just like to thank the staff for that, and also all the contributors, and also the Urban Harbour project underneath, which I've kept an eye on. It's really hitting its marks. So thank you to the staff for that.
Thank you. While we're on that page, we do have the Cyclone Relief Fund there. We're talking about how it has been under prescribed, and there was a mention of the farmers hardest hit with damage to their waterway fences associated with the flooding were located in the Kaipara catchment, which this fund specifically excluded. So I'm just wondering, like, was there any moment where we said, okay, maybe we could open it up to those farmers because the fund was not being,
Kia ora, Chair. Part of the rationale for that is you're already taking funds out of the E-Fund to go into the Kaipara remediation program, and they're doing their own program of support post the cyclone. So it's not that that support's not being provided to the farmers, it's just being provided through KMR.
right. Okay, Jeff.
I think it's just a lack of communication. That's why it hasn't been attracted. I probably would have qualified, but I was unaware as I was actually.
Yeah.
And this is the problems we're having, is communication around this funding, and all this system is very, very poor.
Yeah.
And that's the reason.
Kia ora, Jeff. Yeah, let's also lean in more on the comms, because the relief fund that is funds that are really needed out there in our communities, we need to connect them to the support. Yes, Jono?
Kia ora, Chair. Can I just ask Ruben, can you just confirm that we've carried forward those funds and that they're still available for this financial year?
Correct, they have been carried forward.
Okay, cool. So we do have the ability to continue to engage with those landowners to provide the support and ensure that those that need or wish to take it up have that opportunity.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, like through the chair, I have been contacted by the farmers in the Kaihu area, quite concerned, lack of communication. I've actually, sent emails through, and it has been chased up, which has been outstanding. But that's the sort of examples. I don't think we promote ourselves well enough. There's a little hole in the system there.
Yeah, let's keep on top of that. This is going to be a continuous piece of work together. Thank you. Brick.
No, look, I just want to thank the council, rest of the councillors and council for supporting myself, the chair, and Joe for going to Local Government New Zealand conference. There is always comments that it is expensive, but I think it's very well worth going. I fully encourage everybody to go at least once in the triennium, and I know that we've got 3 going next year, so that's good. I guess there's not much in the report, John, about it, but I just want to comment on the increase in young elected members. So, like, when I started my 7th year, there were very few under 40. Now it's 22%. I think it's 22%. And I know Councillor McDonald's on that group, and they are really humming and buzzing. And the new chair of Local Government New Zealand, he's just full of beans and roaring to go. So, those councils, there's only a couple of councils that have left, but I think we'll make every effort to get them back on board. He's doing a great job for us, and it's really pushing council and looking at new initiatives. So it's well worth going. I fully recommend you all as well. And while I'm here and she's talking, I just want to mention about the Aotearoa Marae hui that we had. It was awesome, and I think we've got one more this year. So fully recommend that we get everybody there. It was good fun. I mean, it was very informative, but it was also it's great to just get around the district like that. So. And it's hard to get people there, so the more we get there, the better. So we really enjoyed it. It's great to see it, and especially when it is in such a flood-prone area, flood-prone area. It's amazing to see what they've done. Point out where the floods come right over the bridge and how high the marae was. Really worth it. So fully support that. Thank you. Kia ora.
Total call.
It's good.
Thank you, Rick.
Yes, total call. Just while councillors are gathering their thoughts, I just wanted to acknowledge staff too for all of this sort of the multitude of community projects that, you know, our staff are carrying out. With Ngai Takoto, Patuhara Keke, you know, and all the support on the ground. So big acknowledgements to you. I see that the National Wetland Trust gathering is potentially coming up as well. Perhaps we could have some political involvement as well with elected members. That could be considered. Are there any councillors with further questions or comments? We'll go John and then Jeff.
I just want to go back to page 112 about the poplar poles nurseries, and quite a low uptake in the Dargwell area, which was probably the one hit worst area hit with Cyclone Gabrielle, with poplars and willows coming down. Although the trees seem to be more vulnerable than others to the wind damage, we have to look back in the 80s when a lot of these trees were planted and up in the headlands where the sediment comes from, and they've actually done a really, really good job. And I think we should be promoting probably more of the stuff if you're talking about sediment loss. One issue I do see forestry coming through some of these sheep and beef farms who've chopped every tree down. And I wonder whether, you know, take quite a few years to get pine trees up and running, that we're not making a bit of a problem for ourselves. And well, it is a problem right now. So yeah, I think maybe you need to increase the number of trees in this nursery too. They're all sold out, so.
Right.
Thank you.
Is that related?
No. Doesn't matter. Sorry.
Were there any acknowledgements that or that were just?
Ruben, is there anything you'd like to?
Yeah, kia ora, Chair. It's a really interesting point that you raise, Councillor Blackwell, around the poplar poles. So we did bring a paper to the Natural Resource Working Party around the cultivar of the poles that we've been delivering, and that we need to shift our diversity within the nursery. And so as it happens that the next Natural Resources Working Party will be discussing that in more detail. And in terms of Dargwell uptake, part of that is linked with, I would suggest, KMR's current level of funding and what they're prepared to fund. The interesting thing is KMR is looking at shifting into a more silviculture whakapā, and so there will be a greater focus towards the role of poplar poles and supporting sediment reduction through that program. And so I expect there will be a greater shift of poplar pole delivery within the Kaipā area.
Kia ora, Chair, if I could just add to what Ruben was saying there's also going to be a discussion, and unless you've taken it out of the paper, Ruben, around the future expansion opportunities for the nursery. We've got constraints on our current site. Has been a bit of an ongoing conversation for a number of years with council. We have some capex there, and there's a conversation of, do you continue to invest in the current site, or do you look for another site with greater expansion options? So that will be brought to the Natural Resources Working Party. I'm just double checking that this hasn't changed. Ruben continues to nod. So that will be a conversation for this month's Natural Resources Working Party.
Okay.
Could I make a comment, Chair, please?
Yes, John.
Yes, I think we should really be able to produce a large number of harakeke flax for our river work, so that's the one plant, along with actually cabbage trees are very good too, that we should be producing and promoting for holding your riverbanks together. Cheers.
Kia ora, Joe. Perhaps something to pick up in the Natural Resources Working Party as well. Before I come to Jeff and then Jack. Sorry.
John answered my question.
Did he?
Yeah,
Okay,
he
perfect.
covered what I was discussing. Thank you, Chair.
We're going to just circle back to the wastewater treatment plants as Tess has arrived in the room. Kia ora, Tess. There was a question around the compliance with ahipara, the ongoing ahipara issues. Do we have any news?
So They're getting a new super duper UV system. It's like a new version of a UV. I've forgotten its name. But yeah, not just a standard UV, which was originally what they were going to do, and that's what's been the delay, because they realised that the standard UV wasn't actually going to achieve what it needed to do. We kind of went back to the drawing board. So yeah, consultants have come up with this alternative system. So that's on order. Hopefully installation in 3 months or so, but
Thank you. Thank you. Does that answer your question, Jack? Thank
Yep,
you.
thank you.
Just while we're actually on Hokianga and the like, how are we going with the 300,000 that we committed to the harbour remediation? Do we have a little update on that, Ruben?
Sure, Chair. No update. We had, so the timeline that we had set ourselves was to commence that project in the first quarter of next year. And that was in recognition of the fact that we've got a lot of moving parts at the moment, particularly with our freshwater plan change. So we will be commencing that first quarter of next year.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Looking forward to that. All right. So we are on the CE report. Quite a bit of discussion already. And Jack, you're on the list.
Just one little item on page 128, the dogs and kiwi. It's become quite an issue of late. We don't know if there's more dogs or there's more kiwis, resulting in more damage. Now, I think most landowners know that if a dog is worrying stock, then that dog can be shot. But I'm not sure if all property owners know their rights regarding a dog on their property, whether or not it's actually affecting kiwi or not, because obviously you cannot prove it. I'd just like to ask Vice Security Manager if to confirm if it's actually legal for anyone to shoot any dog on their land that's trespassing, and if so, we need to get that message out to landowners, because I've had 2 landowners say, well, I'm pretty sure I got dogs on my property, but I'm not sure about my rights.
To answer that question, my understanding is that only in the cases of worrying stock that can be done. A simple trespass of a dog is not in itself an authority to kill that dog, but we would need to probably seek some legal advice if it was, depending on the case, depending on the instance. In respect of that dog being on a public reserve or on a that would also trigger other offences depending on whether that reserve was managed by Department of Conservation or a district council. So the answer is not straightforward in that respect.
Well, my question really relates to private land. I mean, reserves and dockland are the responsibility of DOC and the district council. I'm concerned about the ability or lack of ability of landowners to actually deal with dogs that are on their land. I mean, in my experience, a lot of landowners shoot first and get rid of the dog. And where you have kiwi on land, then I can justify that. I personally can justify that action being taken because it's every dog owner's responsibility under the Dog Control Act to keep their dogs under control. But I think I'd like to get a legal opinion or so we can strengthen the hand of landowners that want to deal with dogs. Because at the moment, Kiwi Coast and all the land care groups, the HVA groups are doing such fantastic work, and we're controlling stoats way better than we used to, but we're losing as many kiwis we're breeding to dogs, and it's just something that can be avoided. And sometimes it takes carrot and sometimes it takes stick. So, I mean, for instance, that action at Bay Bush Actions, their own land there, they've lost like 6 kiwis, and it's almost certainly one single dog. And that's most of the kiwi that they've spent years trying to build the numbers up. So it's tragic. So I'm concerned that we don't have enough legal tools, quite frankly. Mm. And part of the legal opinion I'd seek is, can we make rules over and above the Dog Control Act for dogs in terms of protecting Kiwi. In other words, give ourselves the same rights that district councils and DOC have on their land. Can we extend those rights to private landowners?
Jono.
Kia ora, Chair. The issues that Councillor Crawford raises, I think it's reasonable that we find out an answer to them. So we'll go and find some advice so that we know what the position is.
Do we have like a role in encouraging Kiwi aversion, you know, with dogs and you know, how do we support the hunters and that to be good handlers, not lose their dogs?
Yes, we do. And we run, you know, regular publicity to encourage people on dog control workshops that are managed through Kiwi Coast. But also local communities have taken a lead in promoting, you know, just dog awareness, really handler awareness, and we're supporting initiatives along those lines as well. So there's public advocacy out there, but at the moment, no legislation or no rules that we're enforcing or that we're aware of.
Yeah.
We have had discussions before about wild roaming dogs. Yeah. It's a different discussion with district councils and their roles. We certainly come back and really tease out whether imposing regulation through our regional pest management plan is feasible or not.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
Just to be a devil's advocate
same
for
the
that
yeah.
conversation,
Yeah.
if I can jump in there.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to give a scenario that it's a pig hunter's dog who's out to get rid of pigs in the Ngahere. It gets sort of disoriented and goes across the farmer's property. So it's just for that scenario that you might nobble actually a pest destruction dog. So it's yes, if it's worrying stock, straight off.
I'll take that offline with you, Marty.
Yeah, let's see. We can take a look
It was
at this.
brought up in the public.
Thank you, Marty. I have Stuart, but John, were you on the same topic?
On the dog one, yeah, it's a big concern for Northland. Federated Farmers been involved with this a lot with bylaws, and it's really hard on the people that get their pets or their sheep or their animals destroyed for the dog, but it's very much harder to actually find the dog. And there was a case up north where the chap had lost 300 sheep over about 1 year, and he ended up with shooting a dog after he killed 2 sheep. And the chap who owned the dog decided he would compensate the farmer, but then when the legal team got involved, he said you only have to pay for 2 sheep. So it's not a very easy thing to prove. And yeah, I think Northland has a particularly bad reputation with dogs.
Okay.
And I do own about 12 dogs, so Beef and Lamb do dog training days as well. So maybe
good to know. Thank you. Chief, same topic.
Same topic.
Yeah.
You know, I'm talking with the pest management team. Their biggest concern going forward is roaming dogs, wild dogs in areas. And it's, you know, in my constituency, up through the Pipiwai area, heading up to Mototau, through to back of Mauriwa, all that forestry land that's now been redeveloped right up to Mauriwa. Roaming dogs is a huge probably the biggest threat going forward.
Yeah. Thank you.
I'm sure Don will agree.
Yeah, let's keep supporting our communities and our staff to get on top of that one. So Jack, sorry, did you want to add to that again?
Oh, just to highlight what John has said, and what Don has said as well, that the problem isn't the responsible dog owners. We've got most dog owners are responsible. There's a minority, and I would say it's probably quite a small minority, 10% or less, that are not responsible, and most of those dogs aren't even registered. So that's a problem for the whole Northland community. So we need to find other solutions. So I'm keen to look at the legal ability and outside of the Biosecurity Act, because I don't think the Biosecurity Act is an appropriate tool. We've had a look at that, but I'm looking at other means. I mean, we might want to be putting out dog traps, and there's other methods as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Jack. Sure the staff have noted that. Stuart.
Through the chair. This is on page 114 of the CEO report under the heading coastal. Just a point of clarification, if I could, please, on the follow-up on enforcement and abatement notice made to Northport. And what's the infringement, please?
I'm gonna ask Jono.
What page was that again?
Tess, is this something that you're able to help us with? 114, paragraph under coastal in the compliance section.
It's not something I can sort out going and looking into it.
Can you raise your voice? Sorry.
Sorry, it's not something I can answer on the spot. I can find out the answer.
All right. Is that okay?
Okay, it would be good to know, just to mention that it's a, so Northport is a related party. And so we have to be very transparent and clear in our enforcement actions.
We'll follow up and provide further information to councillors.
Yeah, thank you, John.
And our independent advisors.
Ka pai. Any other items on the C report? If not, we'll go back to motion that the report be received. All in favour, say aye.
Aye.
Against, that's carried. Thank you. Next, moving on to 8.3, legislative compliance. Who would like to move that the report from Kyla be received? Amy, seconder.
Yep, definitely.
Rick.
Tick all those off.
Does anybody have any comments?
I've got a question. Question is, this report is pre-audit office, isn't it? This is our own internal assessment. Is that right, Kyla?
Kyla, Bruce is nodding.
I think it is.
Yeah.
Correct. I think this is part of our own internal process.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay.
Just an acknowledgement to the staff for this is the kind of thing that we really rely on, safety net. So appreciation for the work that went into it. Thank you.
Thank you, Kyla. Well, if there's no further comments for the report to be received, all in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against, that's carried. Thank you very much. 8.4, reporting on the long-term plan performance measures. The report be received. Rick's going to move it. Jack's going to second it. Any discussion?
Oh, Madam Chair, I'd just like to say that we're pretty tough on ourselves when it comes to processing and administering of resource consents. We were 99.7% compliance. We said we didn't achieve it. So it's nice to have ambition. So well done, everybody. I think that's a pretty amazing result under the circumstances.
Thank you, Jack. Any other comments? If there's no further, then we'll go to put the motion forward. All in favour say aye. Against, that's carried. Peter Lucas. Okay, moving, Jono.
Kia ora, Chair, thank you. I guess just to acknowledge, like when you read it and you've got 31 measures, 17 have been achieved and 12 have not been achieved. I sat there and read it and said, doesn't read that well. Then we actually read down through each of the measures and what they were and where we got to and the rationale or the reasons as to why it wasn't achieved. I think there are some really good reasons, and I think that's good that we're really transparent about if we haven't achieved it, like the consents one was raised, we didn't achieve it. We set that target, we didn't achieve it. We're transparent about what we got, the reasons why we didn't get it, and I think that's really good. And I guess I just wanted to acknowledge that these are the results that might be updated slightly, but that will be in our annual report as well. So this will be in our annual report, and we'll also have the explanation for those that we haven't achieved. And I think that's just part of the process. If there's good and reasonable reasons, we're happy for governance to dig into it and really make sure that you understand the ones that have and haven't been achieved and why. But I think it's good, transparent reporting to the public. Kia ora.
Kia ora, Jono. Aye, total core. All right, over to 9.1, item 9.1. Page 158. So we are,
I'll move the recommendation, Chair.
Joe, thank you for the unconfirmed minutes of our three,
Ai
Regional-
mātu tērā e tautoko.
okay, Peter Lucas is seconding. Any discussion, apart from acknowledging that all of the good work that we're doing with our fellow councils?
Oh, just a little comment regarding the Regional Transport Committee. Waka Kotahi did not complete a report on their delivery or otherwise to the Regional Land Transport Plan. All the district councils did. So we've asked them to make that report. It's just a little bit that was missing, and there's a discussion, quite a lot of work going on with the CEO, Jono, and Louisa Grit. And I think we made some good progress regarding some reviews that are going on regarding the performance of the various stakeholders in delivering the transport requirements, road transport requirements to Northland.
Thank you, Joe. Was that intervention for an update, or are you wanting the minutes updated?
No, just comments. Comments.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Lovely. Any other questions or comments regarding the three committee minutes? Okay then, let's go ahead with the motion. All in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against? It's carried. Thank you. And then, oh, sorry, working party. Working party updates and chairperson's briefing. Do I have a mover?
Yeah.
Thank you, John. Seconded by Amy. Any discussion? Again, acknowledging all the work that everybody's doing.
Kia ora, Chair, just
Yes.
noting, should there be a TT Mac?
Are we missing? We're missing.
Potentially they just haven't been completed in time. It will go to the next month.
Okay, thank you. All right, any other questions or comments? If not, for the report to be received, all in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against? It's carried. Thank you. Okay, now we're going to be moving into our business with the public excluded. So I need a mover.
Yes, I'll move that.
There's Rick to move, John to second. Aroha mai, thank you. It's lovely to have people come and join us. Kia ora.
Stop for a break.
Yes, shall we just adjourn
Good
for
idea.
10? Yeah, have a toilet break and then come back and
Thank you.
continue. Perfect. Yes, I was thinking that 2 weeks. I was like, so we don't usually, but I'd like to.
That's why I was saying water.
Pretty sure that's stormwater. They had a stormwater overflow.
Okay. No, I was just.
But I wasn't 100% sure.